So the point of PureSpace is basically creating a complete system with PureLink products for a number of different applications and environments. To get everyone on the same page about PureLink, we've been around well over 20 years and brought many of the innovations that you enjoy through many different brands, actually. Those came from PureLink, starting way back with HDCP key management and EDID management, plus video over fiber. Those were all innovations PureLink proliferated through the market. So we were founded in 2002, so we've been around 22 years and counting. Our CEO is Mitsu Park, and I already mentioned the HDCP key specifications were really, as some of you know, designed for really just kind of residential applications, but as HDCP encrypted content made its way into larger systems, there were some problems that PureLink solved and have since made things easier for everybody. And it goes on and on. We've introduced the world's first DVI fiber cable back in 2002, 22 years ago. And in fact, back then, I worked for another manufacturer called Digital Projection. Some of you may know we did large venue DLP projectors for large venue and home theater and many other applications. We had standardized with our products on PureLink cables because they were the only ones that could actually transport quality, reliable digital video over long distances. So you can see many other innovations all the way through some of the more recent years where we had the world's first 4K up-down scaling, AV over IP network switches. Believe it or not, we were first to market with network switches purpose-built for AV over IP even before Netgear. So we've been doing it longer than that. We also have world's first AV over IP encoder decoder systems with 4K switching. That goes back many years and also includes fiber and CAT extension on our AV over IP seamless presentation switchers. And we'll be talking about Icon today because it's part of the PureSpace design. This is our control automation that won Best of Show at Infocom. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. Okay, so PureLink, we do have broken down some sub-brands. I've gone over them kind of top level, but Media Access is our 4K 60 uncompressed cross-platform matrix switching. This does just about anything you can think of, from SDI, DisplayPort, HDMI. We extend over fiber or HDBaseT 3.0. We have a ton of Dante interfacing built in to Media Access. So it's a very powerful tool. And it's used in a lot of applications, anywhere from cruise ships to medical, hospitality, large venue, military command centers, and much more. And Pure Media is essentially the same thing, but it's a 4K 30 product. As you all know, there's still a lot of applications where people are moving around 1080p 60 or 4K 30. So if you don't need that type of horsepower in the Media Access, the Pure Media is still one of the best-selling frames in the world, already deployed in many, many mission-critical applications. PureStream, that's our brand involving all of our AV over IP products. So that includes our VIP encoders and decoders, as well as our streaming encoders, which you're going to see our Stream 200 today, and also all of our Dante products that are not embedded in other products. So we've got rack mount interfaces, dongles. Icon, that's our award-winning control automation system. Why did we win this award? Because we now bring you all of the functionality and interface capabilities that you're used to in Crestron or AMX, QSys, Extron, and so on. But we bring it to you in a far easier way to implement and maintain. So our programming capability is our own language called Easy, and it's actually just English language sentences. So it makes this incredibly quick to learn, incredibly quick to program, and incredibly easy to upkeep and maintain. It also starts delving into, the possibilities of DIY to some degree, but it's definitely driven towards an integrator product, something that is to take place of the more expensive product lines that I mentioned earlier. Most particularly, the line item of programming labor is going to go way down. So we'll be looking at Icon today, but there are specific Icon classes that I strongly recommend you sign up for and look at, because when you see the lab that we do of how to write code to control something and how to get the data back from that device to update the user interface or do other actions, you're going to be, I think, a believer. So please come to those and take a look, the Icon classes. HD Tools is our line of smaller switches. And when I say smaller, these are 2x2s or 4x4s or 8x8 switchers, matrix switchers. We also have 1x4s and 1x2s. A lot of HDBaseT extenders, fiber extenders, and keep in mind AV over IP is also capable of extension as well. But we've been doing fiber extenders longer than anybody in the market, as you saw back in 2002, first DVI extender. But of course, we've advanced extensively with the kind of signals and resolutions and bit depths that you can transport. So there's classes coming up on HD Tools as well that we would encourage you to look at. And finally, Total Wire, that's our line of cables. Now, the PureLink Total Wire line is premium cabling, so it's not the kind of cabling that you find, on Amazon or, in the, what's the cheapest cable I can get approach. This is more, highly rugged Cat 6A, 150 meter, where your applications really require the best of class and high reliability. And we also do this in fiber and SDI and some other flavors as well. So, and we have HDBaseT recommended and certified cables, as well as USB-C, 4K and 8K cables, and HDMI 2.1 certified cables. So if you want really good cables, Total Wire is the solution that we'd like you to take a look at. Okay? All right, we got lots of clients. We're just going to cover this real quick and get into the meat of the class. But we serve lots and lots of different industries, from the automotive industry, entertainment, electronics, military. As you can see, we do lots of different military branches, just a broad range. So I think the best way to sum this up is, if you have an application, we have well over 300 SKUs of products. The last time I counted, it's probably gone up, and we probably have what you need. It's very likely. So at very minimum, just contact us and let us know, hey, this is what I'm working on. Do you have something that works for that? And I think some of you can attest that if we don't, we're going to let you know that. We're not going to try to sell you something you're not really going to be able to use. So we're glad to help steer you to, from our experience, what other products might fit the bill for what you're trying to do. All right, so PureSpace. This could be anything from a huddle room to a conference room to a presentation facility, a theater, and a lot more. So it could be interactive situations and so on. So, maybe what would that look like a little further in? Okay, so I kind of described this. Basically, huddle rooms, conference rooms, presentation halls, simulation environments and museums and so on. There's really, what I don't want to do is, by suggesting this list, give you the impression that it's limited to this list. We're just making some suggestions, and please use your imagination, because there really is many other applications than what we're listing here. So it's about immersive engagement. It's about a real, authentic, practical impact on what you're trying to achieve, not just having the newest and latest gadgets and so on, but it actually being useful and effective in what you're trying to achieve. So that can be corporate, education, healthcare, and, like I said before, many other markets and applications. All right, so let's start diving in and taking a look at some of these different scenarios. And again, the imagination should be unlimited here, but you certainly can bring interactivity to the classrooms. For example, if you use our Collabora switching, that allows multiple views of sources simultaneously, both wired and wireless. So you can have laptops or phones displayed on the big screen, and you can display up to 8 sources simultaneously. We're going to look at the Collabora in a moment. You can also think about our icon control system, where each desk has its own touch panel and allows some interaction that you can design how much interaction that actually is on each of the touch panels. So that's something else we'd like you to think about in classroom environments as they evolve. Simulation scenarios, you can use multiple live feeds into our switching systems, and we've got video wall capability built into quite a number of our products that can also be reconfigured. So even our AV over IP decoders allow you to take, in this example, you see a 3x3 video wall. You might put one image across that, or you might put 9 images across it, or you might have one image across a 2x2 array of panels and individual images across the rest. Our new SX2 8800 matrix switcher also allows this, as well as our Max 2 and our Pure Media matrix switchers. So we have a lot of different video wall capabilities there, and we also have ultra low latency in our products. So as you can see, if you're doing virtual reality, you will get appropriate response times on those. And that's, by the way, one of the things that a lot of our products get selected for, ultra low latency. Okay, collaboration. So here you might have anywhere from our PS610, which is our 6x1 presentation switcher you're going to see in a moment, to our Collabora 8x1 multi-viewer with wireless input. So we have options for you about collaboration spaces, interactive presentations. We actually also have our MPX digital signage products that allow you to create interactive content based on touchscreen events. And of course, boardrooms. So in this case, you might have more than one screen. Our PS820S, which is the big brother to the PS610, that's 8 in by 2 out. You might have 2 different contents going on your 2 displays. One might be video conferencing on one screen, and maybe you're sharing a Excel spreadsheet on the other screen or whatnot. So we have all the products capable of fulfilling applications for immersive experiences. Okay, so what are all these technologies that allow you to fulfill these applications we've been looking at? Really, at the top of the list is our icon control automation that will allow you to control anything that is controllable, from LAN, RS-232, infrared, relay, digital I/O, RF, and so on. And you can do manual control, conditional control, and temporal control. So you have every possibility of control automation that you would find in any other product. But again, like we said in the beginning, the real difference is time to implementation, ease of use, and ease of maintenance. And just as a qualifier, I was an AMX programmer back in the very early 90s. That, not to give away my age, but I also very shortly became a Crestron programmer, and I do QSys programming as well. So I'm familiar with those platforms and what it takes to build systems. But what I found, and I'm sure you've seen also in your real experiences, is that any changes or maintenance to these programs is time consuming and costly. And, our goal was, everybody can have a nice looking touch panel and pretty graphics and all that. That's done. That's not where the focus is. The focus is how easily can I get it done and maintain reliability and functions and features. And really, how can I make sure that once it's in the customer's hands, that if there's any changes that need to be made, updates, or some equipment got swapped out or they added something, that it's not an expensive bill for the customer. That nobody likes that. So that was a target in our design of our programming environment. So again, strongly encourage you come to the Icon training so you can see that for yourself, and also use our 30-day test drive to try it out. Our VIP cam series, this goes anywhere from our huddle cam with built-in auto tracking and speaker bar to pro quality PTZ cameras that are actually used not just in conference rooms and huddle spaces, but in house of worship and medical and broadcast presentation. So these are cameras that go up against some of the very top names in cameras, as Sony, Panasonic, JVC, and so on, Blackmagic or whatever, and you look at the quality of the imagery and the quality of motion of our PTZ mechanisms, and I think you'll find that you've got a new and frankly better option for your camera needs. We'll look at our presentation switchers. I'm not going to talk so much about those right now. We'll look at those and our Dante rack mount IO boxes. We do also have dongles. We're not going to show those in this class because it's not really matches up with these applications, but we do have those. And keep in mind, Dante is built into the Max 2 cross-platform frame as well as the Pure Media frame. So we have and our PS610, which you'll see today, also has Dante built into it. PureStream AV over IP, again, this is a great lineup of AV over IP encoders and decoders, and we'll talk about those as well. All right, so again, any questions, just write them out as we go. All right, so easy control. I think I've hopefully driven home the point that this is the easiest programmable control system on the market, and that's why it won Best of Show on the Infocom this year. That's really another class, so please come to that. But our language is called Easy, human readable language. Not only is it English language, but most of what you do is mouse clicks, and you're just selecting things and selecting actions for those things. So very rarely do you actually set your mouse aside and type when you're using easy language. So that also makes it quite fast. It includes a lot of guidance. So you're restricted to mostly legal things that you're allowed to do. Like if you're trying to control a certain device, it'll make sure that you pick the right device and that you can only request actions that are legal for that kind of device. And same thing with trying to change the state of buttons or text fields or things like that. You're not going to be allowed to do things that are wrong. It's not going to let you. So that helps you move quicker towards completion. Now, we also provide Java as a programming language. So why would we do that? There's a number of reasons. One is if you are going to provide an industry standard programming language in your control system, make it a top 5 language known and certified in the world, which is Java. I think everyone would agree you'd be hard pressed not to find somebody who knows how to write Java in the programming world. And it's relatable to a lot of other languages. So if somebody knows, C# or other languages, they either already know Java or easily transition into Java. It's a very easy language to understand. While easy allows you to do almost everything that you could possibly do in a control automation system, Java is very powerful and it can add some other things if that is the language you're used to. And it's also very guided. So when you pick a Java command, like let's say you want to change the color of a button, all these commands start with a $sign, for example. It then automatically pops up a list of all the legal commands that you can use for that control. And then you pick it, and then it shows you all the legal additional parameters that you're allowed to use, and even shows you examples of how you might finish that piece of code. And if you finish it and you do something illegal, it will tell you. So it's very smart about helping you if you choose the Java approach. The other thing we allow you to do is use both. So I can program one button on my touch panel with easy, and I could program another button with Java. So if there's a reason to do that, and coming to that class, I can take the time to explain why. But another thing that we allow you to do is, let's say you're curious about, learning Java because it might give you some advantages. We allow you to convert your easy code to Java code with the press of a button. So you can write your easy code and then convert it to Java and see what it looks like in Java. And I think you'd be quite surprised how helpful that can be. And a lot of people actually do that with our product. Okay, so in terms of designing the user interface, there's really no difficult way in our interface to create. It's just the background, which could be a solid color. It could be a gradient color. You can pick all that. You can make it an image. You could even choose a video if you like. And the buttons can look like buttons. You can replace the buttons with icons. So let's say you're, programming a cable box for a restaurant or something, and you want CNN and ESPN and so on. You can actually update those buttons with those icons and make it very easy for the end user to be really clear, what they need to do. And in some restaurants, you might have TVs at every single table, and you can create an interface where somebody, a bartender who may know nothing about control, will easily understand, I just press this button and I'm setting up what channel this TV at table 34 is watching, or so on. That's just an example of millions, but so it's very powerful, but very, very easy. And you can also create templates. So let's say you have a volume control slider with some presets and you like it, and it's perfectly fine to use in 10 other projects. You make it one time, you save it, and now you can reuse it over and over again. And even if you reuse it, you can make adjustments to it. So it's got a little customization for that project. Finally, driver database. So again, we kind of took a clean slate approach here to make driver creation simpler than you've ever probably seen before. So I've dealt with module and driver creation and Crestron and so on, and this is an entirely different world here because it's much, much easier to do. So we also support you on driver development. So if you want to send us in a product for driver development, we're happy to do that. And also, it's very easy to share the drivers. So if you've got a developer in San Francisco and they make a driver and you've got a job over in DC area, he can just email the driver over and the other programmer can import it. It's very, very simple to do and use that driver. We can also create drivers and send them to you, or you can create drivers and send them to us for testing. So we try to make the driver database very fluid. And instead of what many restaurant programmers are used to is getting an entire database sent to them every time it's updated, we can just send you a driver to add to your database. So it's much less intensive to keep your database updated, and you don't need to have a database of 500 products you're never even going to use. So those are all advantages. So Icon Easy Control, we've got multiple interfaces. This is our wall mount 4-inch touch panel. Now I want to make sure that you're aware that all of our touch panels are controllers. So you do not necessarily have to have a separate black box controller. For example, the T4W built in has LAN and RS485, which could be converted to 232. That can control devices by itself. And if you think about LAN control, depending on how I set up my network, I could control thousands of devices just from this 4-inch touch panel. So unlike, for example, QSYS, where I always have to have a core and I have to spend all that money on the core, I don't need that. All I need is this touch panel. So this has become a very popular product for us because it's everything. Now, I said you don't necessarily need one because the amount of I/O I can put on the back of a 4-inch panel is clearly, limited. So if I need additional I/O, you have options to do that. We've got two products, the C8, which has tons of I/O on it, and you'll see that in a moment, and the E4, which is just an expander. So if this touch panel doesn't quite cover everything, don't worry, you can add to that. The whole icon system is a la carte. It's very flexible. So I can have, one 4-inch panel. I can have 20 of them. I can have a 10-inch panel and a 4-inch panel. I can have a C8 and any quantity of those panels. And so it's really mix and match. So you can do the simplest jobs, or you can do the most complex jobs with the most complex automation, multi-floor, multi-building, all the way down to, a waiting room and a dentist office. So there's lots of different applications Icon is designed to handle. So don't take its size for weakness. It can do a lot. Okay, and I kind of referenced the 10-inch touch panel. So here we have it. It's basically identical to the T4W. This one is tabletop. It's got a kickstand, but it has a brother 10W that is wall mount, and it comes with the gang box that you would need. So it's ready to go for installation. But the advantage, obviously, is you have more real estate to create a larger interface. And by the way, we've got sub pages and pop-up pages that you can have as many as you desire. So if you want to, change, for example, in this image, the conference room table you see in the middle, that's actually a sub page that pops up when you press the conference preset on the right. But if I press maybe the presentation, that sub page would change and only allow the user to have access to the sources, displays, and audio equipment that is related to doing presentation or a movie or so on. So there's lots of different things. So it's all context changeable, and presets are very easy to make. Every preset here can completely change the rest of the page as you desire. Yeah, I'm going to jump tracks here just because of time. Come to the icon class and I'll show you the C8 and the E4, and we'll talk in detail about the programming in that class. So we're going to take a look at our cameras. This is our HuddleCam 400. We were very picky about the design for this because, frankly, there's lots of these out there, and most of them are okay, and we didn't really want to just have another okay product out there. So the first thing is the camera. It's auto tracking, and you can turn that off if you want, but it will intelligently find who's speaking and zoom in to only them. But the big advantage of this over many of the other products out there is that we're actually moving the camera. So in a lot of these, it's just electronic pan, tilt, zoom, but we're doing PTZ, pan and tilt. The advantage to that is when you have a 4K chip and you move it into position, then you're still utilizing the maximum amount of pixel resolution of that chip. But if you have a stationary chip and you're trying to, quote, like move and focus to a certain person at the conference room table, basically what you're doing is just shrinking how much of that 4K chip you're using to show that person. So if you pay attention to what that looks like, that those close-ups are soft compared to our camera, where you'll actually watch the lens move towards the person talking. And there is 5x digital zoom incorporated as well. So, I don't want to give the impression we're not doing, any digital zoom, but we're trying to minimize it to maintain the maximum quality of the image. The speaker bar, by the way, I just 30-day test drive program that we have. There's no better way for you to really kick the tires. I'm going to tell you that the speaker bar sounds great, and you think I'm saying that because I work here, which I do, but it really does. It's got a bass reflex in it, so it's got a really nice acoustic range, and it's playback. So please just get one and listen for yourself. They really do sound great. And then, of course, there's a microphone array, and you'll see this microphone puck. That's an optional extension mic, and it's got the LED indicator on the top letting you know whether your mic is on or off, so you don't say anything that's going to get you in trouble. And comes with the remote control that's full featured for pan, tilt, zoom, home. You can turn off and on the auto tracking. There's presets, so there's lots of features there. The product has been tested, obviously, with GoToMeetings, GoToWebinar, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, and so on. It's plug and play. It has a USB-C output, so it plugs right into your laptop with no issues. And you also have an HDMI output for that as well. Okay, so let's look at some of our prosumer or pro grade. We've got the VIP Cam 100 NDI. This again is used even more so in House of Worship and live broadcast and presentation than conference rooms and huddle rooms, but it is used in those as well. But the reason I tell you that is so you know that, this is really a very high quality camera that if you're using remote PTZ controllers, we're compatible with Pelco and Visco, which you may already know are the industry standards for camera control. So you can drop this right in to an existing or new system. And you can control over RS-232 or LAN. We also offer our own controller, which I don't have in this presentation. But I want to emphasize the extremely smooth variable pan tilt zoom. So you can do extremely slow motion of pan tilt and zoom, or you can do very fast motion. So it's a great choice for live situations, anywhere from House of Worship to concerts to keynotes to you name it. And the 20x zoom allows you a great deal of range in a large room for headshots, IMAG. And while we offer 12x digital zoom, it's fair to say that the more digital zoom you use, the softer the image is going to get. But if you, for example, you just use 2x or 3x digital zoom, I would challenge you to see that there's really a noticeable difference in the image quality, but what you get is now 40x or 60x zoom, because you just take the digital zoom and multiply it by the optical zoom. So if you have 40x zoom, for those of you who've done rooms and need that, you can do a really deep room and get a quality, stable headshot. We also have full white balance controls and iris controls, automatic gain, automatic exposure, and a ton of different outputs. So you've got HDMI, 3G SDI. I can do RTSP, RTMP streams. I have NDI HX output. So you have lots of choices there. Okay, now its new brother, the 200. This offers a little more digital zoom, basically the same PTZ mechanism, so high quality optics, high quality motors, very smooth movement, greater digital zoom. Again, Pelco and Visca control over 232 or LAN, and all the same automatic exposure, gain controls, white balance, and we do HDMI 3G SDI, but now we also have USB 3.0 output in addition. So now you can pull this into OBS, or you could use a lot of the other platforms, Zoom, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, and so on. Low data rate, again, 25 megabits on the streams, and still NDI HX, but now we also offer PoE power on this model. Okay, jumping tracks again, trying to stay in time here, is our VIP Stream 200. So it's very important to be imaginative here, because there's some very obvious applications. You know, if you want to stream House of Worship out to people who can't make it to church, so YouTube and Facebook and so on, those are obvious. But there's other applications that this is used in. Large venue, we see stadiums and large entertainment facilities where they use streaming encoders to take sources and move them around to displays, most commonly LG WebOS displays, because they accept RTMP, RTSP streams. So this box can transport over the network long distances, and you could think about that maybe, you know, digital signage in retail malls or colleges and universities across campus, moving data around over networks. We've also seen these used in industry manufacturing, live data analytics being transported from one factory building to another. There's a famous tire manufacturer who uses these to display live throughput data to all the managers' offices throughout the different buildings, and they have multiple buildings on a campus. So just think about that. Also broadcasting, there's retail where maybe somebody's doing an online store and they're trying to broadcast. You can do media players over Facebook or YouTube or other platforms. We also have fitness centers using these. And one particular one I like is there's one of the world's largest Taekwondo educational facilities broadcast their trainings using the VIP Stream 200 coupled with one of our VIP cams. And you'll notice that on the back, we've got a confidence monitor loop out. And we also have audio insertion. So if you bring a camera straight in, you can also bring an audio mixer straight in, and this box will combine them and then stream the video and audio together out onto the network. So again, a really valuable feature there. And there's lots of diagnostics. You see the LEDs on the back letting you know that you've got a valid HDMI input and that your loop out's connected and active. We've got 2x16, I think, LED display where you can get all sorts of diagnostics. And the nice thing about this box is when you set it up for Facebook or YouTube, it's a one-time setup. And we have training videos on this, but you get the encrypted key from Facebook or YouTube, and you insert it in the web interface page that's built into this box. And anytime that the box is told to send an active signal, there's nothing else you need to do. You could shut it off for a week and turn it back on next week, and your broadcast will start again. So this has been, for that very reason, especially House of Worship, which I've done a lot of work in myself, the less technical work that needs to be done and the easier it is, just the better it is. And I think there's lots of other markets like that. Okay, presentation switchers. This is our 6 input by 1 output seamless presentation switcher, 4K 60 uncompressed, with HDBass T 3.0 receiver included in the box with the main switch. It's got auto priority switching input, and the first 2 inputs are USB-C Alt-DP mode switch with 60-watt charging capability. So that means you can just plug your USB-C laptops directly into this switch, and it will take the video and audio and simultaneously charge the laptop at the same time. And of course, if you do HDMI, we do have some USB 2.0 connectivity available for a keyboard, mouse, and so on. So you've got 5 inputs on the main switch, and then you have 1 input locally on the HDBass T receiver, which you'll see in the middle there. And there's a select button that allows you either to pick the main switch inputs to go to the HDMI out, or you can pick the local input to go to the HDMI out. There is a full function remote control included, but we also provide an Icon driver. And for any of you that were at InfoComm, you would have seen Icon controlling this product at the show. So it's extremely simple to use, full featured. It's got audio insertion and also audio extraction in balanced stereo analog, and Dante 2-channel input and output capability. So this makes it very easy to interface to codecs or other audio devices in a presentation switching system using the Dante networked audio. All right, so honestly, really powerful, great presentation product. So please take a look at that, get one in to test drive and try out. All right, I talked a little bit about the Collabra earlier. So this is a little different than the PS610. This is 8 inputs by 1 output. Now this is a 4K 30 product, but it's still very popular because there's still a lot of demand for 4K 30 as well as 1080p 60. It is seamless, and it does offer HDMI. Yes, we still have VGA, believe it or not. People still call us for that. But it does have USB-C input along with USB 2.0, keyboard, mouse capability. And it does have 2 outputs. Now they're mirrored, so we call it an 8 by 1, but you've got 4K 60 and a 1080 60 output. Really, the second output is more like confidence local monitoring. But it's important to note that I can have up to 4 wireless dongles connected to laptops. Those could be Windows or Mac laptops. And I can also connect Android or iPhones to the switch wirelessly. And I can choose to show anywhere from 1 to 8 sources simultaneously on screen. So the far right screenshot, you see, I think I'm showing 7 things here. But you see, you can show a lot of information on the screen simultaneously if there's a need to do that. If not, then you can show 2 side by side or 4 or whatever makes sense for you. The screenshot on the left is the user guide. So as soon as you turn on the Collabra, that's what you'll see. It's instructions, very simple, short steps on how to connect your phone or your laptop to the Collabra. So another really powerful presentation collaboration product. Okay, I'm over. So the good news is I've got 3 products left here. So we're going to look now at our Dante interfaces. So these are our DIO line, Dante input output, and this is 4 in, 4 out with built-in DSP. And you see quite a list here. There's a lot of things that you can do to tweak your audio for each individual channel. And it's important to note that while we have 4 inputs and 4 outputs of analog, you can also manage an additional 4 channels of just Dante networked audio on each side. So it really has the ability of DSP of 8 by 8, where 4 of those 8 are either inputs or outputs. So that's confusing. I'll be happy to talk to anybody offline about that. And of course, you also have USB connection here, which adds an additional 2 channels of I/O connectivity direct to your laptop. The 8x8 is just a larger version, giving more I/O connectivity, and as well the 16x16. Okay, so amongst all these products and ideas is the most important part, which is support. So, the very first thing is our test drive program. I can't emphasize enough. I'm sure all of you would far prefer to take that piece of gear and have it in your hands and touch it and check it out. So please do that. We stand behind our products. They've been in mission critical applications for decades. We have products running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year in military bases and command centers, and we have them in home theaters. So it's all over the place, but we want to make sure you're comfortable. So just go ahead, contact us. Say, I want to try this out. We'll send it to you, and we're on the phone. So if you need help, we've got videos and manuals and people to talk to. So, it's always been very important to us as a brand to be supportive to those who trust our products. So please give our products a try. And we'd like you to follow us for the latest news. Really, the best way is send us your email if you haven't already. The number one way to do that, if you haven't, is go to our website. As soon as you go to our website, a window pops up to enter your email address. You become part of the PureLink community when you do that. Or I would say the next best way is LinkedIn. We publish news a couple times a week, so you'll see stuff on there. And every month we do a newsletter, so you'll see that. And again, you'll get this presentation, so you'll have these barcodes. Thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you all again. Please use our test drive, come to our classes, and have a good day.